Hey, what's up, everybody? So, welcome back here. So, in this video, I'm going to cover with the date and time. So, this video is divided into different parts. So, the first part where we're going to cover up all the basics which are required for date time, and I already opened up the documentation for the datetime class. And you see here for getting the time, the current time, we can use here datetime.now method, and there are other bunch of methods like UTC and parse that we're going to cover up here. Next, we have something which is known as isAfter isBefore, which is basically comparing the date time objects. And you see here we are depending on the conditions, we are actually getting the twin false. And then we have some using duration, which is the add method, and everything that you see in this in documentation, we're going to cover almost all everything. So this video is highly recommended for all the freshers, those who are working with the daytime for the first time. So let's jump in and get started here. Right, so I already opened up my boilerplate for the Flutter application, and you see here this is basically the boilerplate, and I already opened up on my terminal. However, we don't need that yet, but I already opened up one of my. So I'm going to remove everything from here because we're going to start all from the scratch. So let's remove this main dot dot, and I'm going to create here a stateless widget. So stateless widgets are widgets which are like where the state not change, and if something where the state is not changed, that means it's a stateless widget, and those widgets which have state change are stateful widgets. So that's the very basic definition about the stateless and the stateful widget. All right. So if I just want to change that class name to my app, and you see here, so I just give it the name of my app, and still there are some errors showing up here. And the reason why, because we haven't imported any kind of package for the material dot dot, and there we are, right? So the next thing that we need is some main function, the entry point main function, which is the main, and let's give it the name of run application of main my app class that we just created here, right? So that's for this purpose. And down here, right inside the widget build method, I'm going to create here a material app, and that is used because we are going to work with some theme data. And so first thing that I need here is to make that banner false, which you see very often. And if I make that true, the banner on the right, you see that is showing up. So next we need here a theme where we are going to use here theme data, and that theme data should have bring up the primary swatch, which is basically I need here colors dot indigo, and that's all we need for now, right? And yeah, that should be, we can import that later. Right, so here we need some home screen that will build the main screen. So whatever I type up here, this is gonna call that main screen. Like if I want to give some kind of a entry screen application, I just need to import the home class here. Right, so inside my lib folder, I'm going to create here a new file with the name of date underscore time underscore format dot dart extension. So remember, it should be a dart extension here. Now, if I just try to provide here home, but first I need to create here a stateless widget again, and let's give it the name of date time format screen. All right. And again, just to avoid those errors, I need to import the material.dot file. And now if I just want to give it the home screen to be, so it should be date, time, uh, format screen. All right. So now it's import on the top of it, right? So that's the first part of this main.dart file. And now if I go to my date underscore time underscore format dot file, that's the file where we're going to run some different kind of methods to see how we can run the application. So you can even use those methods inside the date time dot notepad. I'm going to show you just dot notepad, and you see dotpad or whatever you say. So on top of it, you can either also use that if you don't need any kind of VS Code help, or you need any kind of emulator debugging. So that will be also helpful. And as you see that I already have run this. So it might be different in your case. So you see now it's gonna console that up, right? Right inside the main function, all you need just to run that. So you can either use Dartpad or you can use either the VS Code, but I'm happy with that because we have to start all and everything we just build inside the VS Code. So this could be really helpful. And if you're very fresher, there are a ton of tutorials where you can learn about how we can install the Flutter, right? So that's it, right? So let's focus on the tutorial and let's write our very first individual units. First, we cover up the individual units by the date. So let's define that individuals unit. So the very first unit that we have is the current date, right? So let's write here current date. Now, in order to get the very current date, which is in my case is 12/5/2021, so in order to get that, all I need is datetime.now, and this gonna give us the current date first. And I just all I need is to just simply print that. And now if I just try to hard reload it, and you see down here inside the debug console, and you see here 2021 12 is the is basically the month, and 05 is the date, and rest all is, you see here, 230759. These are all the time that we just getting, right? So 23 is basically the hours, and we can also convert that, and the 7 is the minutes, and the 59 the second. So now as long as I refresh that, and you see here the second change, right? So that's the first part of it. Now, the next unit that we need, if I just want to only get the year for it, just want to comment this out, and even I can use here dot. And if I just try to get the year, all I need is dot year. And if I just try to hard reload it, and you see the year is 2021. And same like that, if I just want to grab this one, and let's paste this, it should be the month. Now, if I just try to grab the month of here of this, the 12 month, right? And same like if I want to have here, actually it should be here. So if I just want to get that to day, and now if I try to hard reload it, and you see now we are getting actually the day, right, which is 5, right, in my case. So it might be different year depending on the current date time, right? All right, so that's the first phase for it. Next, we can also grab the minutes and the seconds. So very simple. Like if I just want to print this out, actually I just want to comment the on top of. All right, so just comment this out, and let's print the current date dot, and we can also grab the minute. So if I just want to grab the minute, and if I just try to hot reload it, and you see here we actually getting the 9 minutes, which in my case is 10, but as long as you can move now, yeah, it's 10 minutes, right? Now the next thing that we're gonna also do here is, actually I just want to keep this just for the reference so you guys could see. Next, we also can grab the seconds if we want second, and let me run and hot reload it. And you see now it's 21, and as long as I can keep refreshing it, now 25, 26, 27, so the second's running, right? So that's how we can grab the single year, month, year from the date. All right, so that's the very basic units. There are other units that you can grab depending on, and these are all the basics. Like if I just want to grab the current date, dot, month, year, and even the time zone, and we can cover that all, right? And there are other is microseconds since epoch. So you could see if I just try to refresh this, so this all convert that into these seconds, right? And these are the units depending on whatever you're gonna use. So we can also grab the different kind of units, right? So next we have an add method. So this method is very useful. So what actually it does? So this method will help us to add the duration. So what actually it means? Let's suppose if I just want to get the date. Let's suppose we have datetime.now on top of it. So what we are, which is actually the current time that we are getting. Now, in order to add the date, all I need is just simply want to print this out. And if I just want to use here current date dot add, now this method will help us to add the duration. So you see here, it returns the new date time instance with duration added to this. Now, if the date and time is, if today's the day, now 50 days from now, and all I need is just simply just add those 50 days, and it will add to our date time object, right? Now, how can I do is it's bring us the duration, and inside duration we can either get days. Now if I just want to give it the days 1, and now actually you see here today is the day which we have is 5. Now if I just try to hot reload it, and you see here Now this is going to grab me 12:06. Now the day is 6th. Now in order to, if I just try to exceed that date to 2, now this should going to bring me to 07, right? That means the current day, which is 5, and this is going to add plus 2 to it. So this is going to bring up the 7 for us, right? So this method will help us to add the duration, right? Now we can all not only get the days, but we can also bring up the hours if we want. Now, if I just want to give it the, let's suppose if I give it 3 hours now, and now if I just try to hot reload it, and you see now the day, the now it's showing us 8 from now, right? Because it's added 3 more hours to it. All right, so the next thing that we're gonna also do is we can also add the minutes if we want. We can either give 20 minutes, and now if I just try to reload it, and now we could see that it's added the minutes to it. Now it's 2 hours and 33 minutes from the current date, right? So that's the main purpose of getting the current date. All right, so there are other methods which are very useful. The first method, which is the isAfter, and we can also cover up the isBefore method. So these are two methods which will return as Boolean value, which can either be true or false. So this method returns the Boolean after checking both values. So how are we gonna work with that? So let's suppose if we have our the current time, which is the datetime.now. I just want to comment this out. I hope you guys understand the add method. Now, isAfter method will help and check either the value is true or false. Now, if I just want to check, let's suppose if I want to later date, let's suppose I want to give some later date, which should be the current date, the date that we have, current date dot. And now if I just want to, let's add the duration to it. And I want to add the duration of seconds. Let's suppose if I just give it the duration of 5 more seconds. So this will add, so this will actually, the later date is, it's more, it's after, right? As you see, this is the current date and this is the later date, and we have added 5 more seconds to the later date. Now, what actually is the after do? Now, in order to print that up, I just need to show you guys that what actually the output shows. So later date dot, and I'm going to use here is after, and let's bring up here the current date, which we have. Let's give it the current date. As I explained, it's going to show you the either Boolean true or false. Now, if I just try to hot reload it, and you see here, it's going to show me true. Let me actually clear the console just to figure it out. Everything works well. Now, if I just hot reload it, and it's actually taking time to reload the output. Yeah, now it's going to show me true. And the reason why, because the later date is after the current date, means that the later date is greater than the current date, and that's why it's going to show me true. Now, if I just want to give it here is before, because it's actually, now let me print that out, print it, and I want to give the later date is before, which is not in that case is true. That the later date is basically greater than the current date. Now it's going to show me false, and I'm very sure you guys know about it. So if I just try to hot reload it, and you see now it's going to show me false. The reason why, because the later date is actually 5 seconds above, which in my case I have used is before method, which is false, and that should be false because that is not greater than the current date. All right, so let me comment this out all and everything. Right, so we have covered that. Next, we have some method which are known as isCompare. So let me use here isCompare. So this method is very, very useful. So this method will actually compare to date time. Now, how are we going to use that? So let's suppose if I just want to give it the current. Let me comment this out because I'm going to do some few changes here. So I'm going to use here a variable with the name of current date, and let's use here datetime dot now. Actually, it should be datetime dot now. And if I just want to get the day of it, I just simply can use day dot day. And if I just try to print this out and just want to show you the output. So you see here now the day, which is now it's 5, right? So that's the, I just want to give it that current day. Now we are going to use here is compare method, which will check if both values are equal. This going to return as true. And actually, this is not going to return as true. This is going to return as 1, 0, or -1, depending on the conditions we have. So let me show you the example. So we have our date time dot now dot day, which is 5. And now if I just want to give another day, so I'm going to use here date time dot now dot day, which is again equal. Just want to show you the example actually. So now both are same. Actually, I just want to give it another date to 2. So let me print this out. Just want to show you. And again, this could be 5. And now if I just try to use here compare method, is compare method. So all we need is just want to use that current date dot, and let's use here is, the method should be dot. It should be compared to. It's actually not is compare. It should be compared to. Let me rewrite that. All right. So here, right inside that, let me use another date. And if I try to hot reload it, and you see now it shows me 0. And the reason why, because both are equal. Now the both dates are equal, both values are equal. So this is going to give me and return the value 0, right? So that's the first case for these compare. Now, what if I just want to comment this out? Let me comment this all. And I just want to write here if both values are equal, it will return root 0. All right, so let's use here the second concept here. I just want to copy that all and let me paste it down here. And yeah, I need to apply here another condition. So that should be the current date and the another date. Now I want to have some difference. So if I want to have the current date dot now, and for the other case, all I need is datetime dot now. And if I just try to add the duration to it, so let's suppose if I use here the hours, and I just exceed that by 1. Now the another date should be greater because we are adding 1 more hour to the current date. And now if I just want to compare that, so if I try to hot reload it, and you see now it's showing me -1. And the reason why, because if it returns a negative number if it's less than the other, means that the current date is basically less than the another date. So it should always return -1. So I'm going to write here -1. If the current values are less, then it will return -1, right? So that's the example that it will return -1 if the current values are less than the -1, which in my case is current date is less as compared to the end of the date, so it's going to show me the -1, right? So let me copy that up and press, and we are going to use another case of it. Now here I'm going to use 1. The reason why, because now we are going to exceed that, and let me subtract that. So another method that I haven't shown you yet. So let's use here subtract method. So this method will subtract the duration. So if I again use here subtract, just like add method, we have a subtract method which will minimize, which will subtract the values from the date. So here, duration, and if I just want to give the hours of 20 hours, let's suppose now basically the current date is greater is basically greater than the another date. So now it should return me one, and hopefully it's that, right? If I just hot reload it, and you see now it's going to return me one, right? So I hope you guys understand. So here I want to write if the current values are greater, then it will return one, right? So that's the three different conditions that we have covered up for the is compared to method, right? And it's very, very useful. All right, so we are going very smooth and good. So the next example that I'm going to show you, so the method, there are other methods like UTC, Universal Time Coordinate. So let's write that. So this basically method gives converts a given time into UTC, and let's use the current. I'm going to create here current. Even I just have already defined on top. Let me uncomment the current date and write down here. I'm going to define my very first method, which is the is UTC, and we have also other method which is basically to UTC. So they are different. They're completely different in these two methods. So is UTC method will check if that is a universal time coordinate, and toUtc will convert that into the universal time coordinate. So we have a current date, which I already defined on top of it. And if I want to check if that is UTC or not, all I need is simply print this out and use here current date dot is UTC. So this map actually it's an object, and if I just try to hot reload it, and you see now it's going to show me it's false because it's not the UTC format. Now next, all we need is just simply copy that and this out. And if I just want to convert that into UTC, all I need is I need a method with the name of toUtc, and if I just hot reload it, and there we are. So now this has this convert that into the UTC format, and now if I also check if now it's UTC, so if I hot reload it, and now you see it's showing me true. Now it's convert that into the universal time coordinate, right? So these are the very basic method to help to convert that into UTC. Next, we also have a time zone. I'm living in Pakistan, so if I want to show you my time zone, we can simply use time zone name. And if I just try to hot reload it, and there you see that it's PKT, right? Next, we can also do here print that out. And if I want to check the time zone offset, we can also check this out with the help of this method. So with the help of this method, we are able to get the time zone offset, right? So that's it for this package. All right, so we can also parse the date, right? So if I just want to parse the date, all I need is, let's give it that string here, string date equal to, and let me use into the double quotes. So 1995-0, and any random date that you can add up here, and you can change that string into the date time with the help of parse method. So I'm going to use here date time equal to date time, and I also need to parse the date. So let me use that variable parse date equal to date time dot parse method, and let me use here date. And if I just try to print the date, and if I try to hot reload it, and you see now that it convert into the date time, right? So with the help of date time dot parse, oops, actually I just need to wrap this parse date, which was not there, right? So there we are. So there you see that how we can convert that string into the date time, right, with the help of parse method. And so as you see here, it shows that the construct a new date time instant based on formatted string, right? So I hope we are almost very much near to this end of this very first part of this series. And another very important package that we are going to cover up in this video, which is the intl package. So if I go back to the documentation for the intl package, and so it's basically used for multiple purposes. So I'm going to write here intl flutter. And if I go back to this package, and you see here, it's provide us the internalization and localization facilities, including messages, translation, plurals, and gender, and also date number formatting and parsing and bidirectional text. So we are actually focus up here, which is the date number formatting. So that what we need to cover up, and it has a very good popularity. And there are the great bunch of examples. As you see, we can change the locale, the language, and if I go down up here to our work, and there you are. So you see here, so here it provides us the date format with the year, month, and day, and we can format it according to it. We can also see an example, which I'm going to do here. So let's install this package. There are the documentation you can see and watch, and you can do that practice. So let me add the package here with this command by flutter pub add intl. And if I go to my terminal and let's write here, press enter. So this is gonna install the intl package. And the reason why I use it, because we are gonna cover we are gonna use here date format, which is basically the part of the date format. So let me comment this out and use here final date time now equal to datetime dot now. So this is actually very much similar to it. Let me comment this out. So we use here datetime dot now. If I just try to get the current date just to print this out, convert to, so here we are. So 2021-12/05. So basically we are able to get the current date. So the next thing that I need here, final date format, as I explained, we are gonna, with the help of intl package, we are gonna work with the date format. So let's use here, me use here variable formatter equal to date format, and I need to have here y 4 times for the years. Actually, I need to wrap this inside the single quotes. So this is basically small y's for the years, and if I just want to get the months, and if I just want to get the dates. Now on top of it, as you see now, we import the intl package here, and with the help of date format, we need to have an intl package. Without that, this is not gonna work. As you can see here, the package shows, so it's create a new date format using the format specified by the new pattern. So this is basically the pattern that we define here, right? So right after that, I can simply format it by the help of final string formatted equal to formatter dot format. So the format that we define here, basically this is the year, month, and day. Now here I need to define the current date, which is now. And if I just try to print the formatted date, and let me hot reload it, and you see now it's only showing me 2021-12/05. So if I want to compare you the current date, which was actually showing me every single thing with year, month, day, and hours, minute, and day. So you see here on the top it's showing me date, actually showing me year, month, day, and also the hours, and these are the minutes and the seconds. But with the help of date formatting, and you see here there is no AM and PM, right? So we can also figure that out, how we can work with the how we can know it's AM PM. So that's the first cause of it. And also you see the time format is 24 hours. We can also convert that into something which is basically the the 12-hour format as well. So I'm going to do every single thing here. So in order to get the hours, right? So all I need is HH capital. And you see now it's showing me 23, only the hours. Now basically this is the 24 hours format. So in order to convert that into the 12 hours format, all I need is the small eights, and there we are. So now it's showing me 11. Now as you see here, the current date, which is in my case is 11:32 p.m. Now, in order to show the minutes, all I need is colon, double M. And again, if I just try to click on the hot reload, and you see now it's going to show me the every every single thing that is inside the pattern that we define, which is the date format. So we can also show the second, very much similar to it. So for the seconds, we need colon double S, and if I try to hot reload it, and now we are actually getting the seconds. As simple as that, right? So the last thing that we are left with is we can also, as I explained, we can also show the AM and PM. So all I need is just define here A, and there we are. So now it's showing me the complete date time format with the PM and AM, right? You can either put that right after the here, and this is going to show you AM PM to you, right? As you see, this is the complete date time format, right? So I hope you guys learn the basics, and there are other still a lot of things there inside the date time, but these are the most common and the most important things that you need to understand before you should jump in directly to the date and time, and you have to start creating the filters and everything. So that's the most important things that are required to understand. So I hope you cover up these basics in the very first part of the video. So I hope you guys will love it, and I'm very sure that will create another great tutorial in the next part. So thank you for watching, and I want to see you for the next time.